amazing world of rapport and recos. Let's give it up for Chelsea Rodriguez.
What's up, guys? How are ya? So I was, Stephen, just looking at that intro slide of me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize I had gone as blonde as I had. Like, that picture is so old. I think I took that headshot when I was really dark brunette like 5 years ago. And maybe it's just the beach, beach hair don't care. I'm actually in Panama City Beach, Florida. I'm at my aunt's house. We're on our annual family vacation that we always take before the 4th of July. Don't worry, we're social distancing. We're not drinking less, but we are definitely social distancing. So we've had a lot of fun. Been shark fishing, went shark fishing the last 2 nights with my dad. I got one on the line, but I didn't reel it in. My dad caught a 8-foot nurse shark last night though. So I think we're going to go shark fishing ×3 tonight. We'll see what happens. Maybe Roger and Veronica will catch a fish. We'll see. So I caught Roger, so that's good. That's not what I'm talking about today. What am I talking about today? If you don't know me, I know there's a lot of new people on this call. I'm a little quirky, a little weird. I'd say random stuff all the time, even to my customers. I don't really know what's going to come out of my mouth sometimes. So it's a good thing I got some notes here, so I stay on point. They wanted me to talk about, building rapport and getting referrals. And I'm just so grateful to be able to talk about this because I've been in the business for 11 years. Started when I was a 19-year-old college student at the University of Alabama, and I literally started selling Cutco for one reason and one reason only. It was a flexible job. I could work when I wanted to. I could build what I wanted to. There was flexibility and beauty in that. But most importantly, I needed to pay my way through school. I was a broke college student, and I needed money for school. So whatever your reasons are for being with Cutco and Vector, I would just encourage you to be open to what the future could possibly bring. And I thought I was going to work with Cutco for a summer, and then a summer turned into a year turned into 5 years, and 5 years turned into 11, and a husband. So that was pretty cool. But why I'm talking about rapport and referrals, simply put, is because the managers on this call, they know that I have a very strong belief, and I've had it since, I would say, day one of my training, and that is like relationships and network building. Like, that is one of, I won't go as far as to say other things aren't as important, because everything in this business, all the talks you're going to hear today, they're all important in their own right. You got to get good at closing. You got to get good at showing packages. You got to get good at selling sets. You got to get good at making phone calls and having some grit and having some motivation to do the work. But every manager on this call knows that it's always been very important to me, the concept of referrals and relationships. And I'm going to tell you guys why before I break down what you do to build better rapport and what you do to get more referrals. For me, it's a mindset. Okay. Simply put, it's a mindset. The mindset on this topic is you need a foundation in your business. So think like foundation on rock, foundation on mud, foundation on sand. What do you want your foundation in this business to be? And day one of training, I was the person that went home and I exhausted my resources, and I came back to training with tons of names and phone numbers to call. They said, hey, some of you will come back with 5 to 10 names. Some of you will come back with 100. I showed up to day 2 of training with a list of like 200 names and phone numbers of people I could do my initial fast start with. And it blew the managers away. They were like, wow, this is a lot of names and numbers. This girl knows a lot of people. It's not that I knew a lot of people. I just knew I wanted to be successful. And I knew that the more names I had, the more successful I would be. So let me explain what I mean by foundation. The more referrals you get, statistically, because of how much rapport you build, the more referrals you get, the more appointments or the more phone calls you'll be able to make. The more phone calls you make, the more likely you are to schedule an appointment. The more appointments you schedule, the more opportunities you have to sell. The more opportunities you have to sell, the more orders will be closed. The more orders that are closed, more money in your pocket and more customers get Cutco. But none of the closing and selling sets and packages and making more phone calls, none of that has the ability to really happen unless you focus on the things that are most important. And that is getting in rapport with your customers and getting lots of referrals. So I kind of broke this up into like 2 parts. The first part of my message is let's talk about rapport, and then we're going to transfer into some advanced tips on getting referrals. Okay, let's dive in. So there's really 3 areas that you need to get in rapport. So let me explain what I mean by that. The biggest mistake, before I go into the 3 areas, the biggest mistake that I would say most reps, maybe not all, but most reps make when building rapport is that they are building rapport. Stop building rapport. Get in rapport. That's it. It's a mindset shift of building rapport versus getting in rapport. There's a phrase that I learned from a Cutco great. His name is Josh Muller. It's like me, know me, trust me, pay me. Like me, know me, trust me, pay me. You got to make sure that you're in rapport with customers so they like you first. Then when they feel like they know you, they can trust you, and therefore they will feel comfortable spending thousands of dollars with you. They will pay you. Customers all either want or need a product or service. Customers all want or need a product or service. But the difference, the defining difference in the people who sell a lot are the ones that are in rapport. They have someone who likes them, knows them, trusts them, and pays them. People come back to businesses they love because they like and trust the person providing that service. You know, beginning in my business, I was not the highest average order. Still to this day, I'm not the highest average order. I have colleagues that sell double my average order, you know, in the booth, on appointments, wherever. But what I'm really good at is connecting with people, talking to them about them, asking lots of questions. So what are the 3 areas you can get in rapport? The 3 areas that you've got to focus on getting in rapport is, number 1, on the phone call. The first time you reach out to a customer, say they were a referral to you, maybe you don't know them that well, or maybe there's someone that's just a distant friend from a church or the HOA or a connection of your mom's from work. When you're on that original phone call, the most important thing you can be doing is getting into rapport, not building rapport, getting into rapport with that person. Get them to like you, know you, trust you to book the appointment. Then when you get to their house or you do the virtual appointment, they actually pay you. So just a couple thumbs up. We're following this. Hopefully I'm not talking too fast. It's pretty simple stuff, but it is truly a mindset to stop building rapport and focus on getting in rapport. Think of it like a boat. You want to get in the boat with your customer. You want to be in that boat, paddling that storm, working with them through the process of spending a lot of money, but on a product that you know and I know they're going to know and love forever. So get in rapport on the phone. Number 2, make sure that you're getting into rapport, that you're getting there, getting in that boat with the customer at the beginning of the demo, at the beginning of the appointment, before you ever open that blue book, before you ever show them the website and point them through all of the names and uses of XYZ products. It's really important that you're asking them questions about them, getting to know them. The more powerful you will be when it comes to closing the sale or getting more referrals. I mean, that's a sale you're closing, getting referrals, is the more information you have. The more you know about the customer standing, sitting, talking in front of you, either virtually or in person, the more you know about a person, the better you can serve them. The better you can handle objections, the more you know about them. And that all comes from getting in rapport. Things you can ask them: how long have you lived here? Ask them questions about their cooking habits. You know, who's the cooker? You or your husband? You get them talking about who's the budger. You know, who's the tightwad in the family, Miss Jones? Is that you? Oh, it's your husband? Wow, totally opposite from me and my husband. You know, my husband's the diva. He spends lots of money. Ask them questions, but then relate it back to you. That's all rapport is asking questions, getting to know them, but then finding the connection between the 2 of you that just ties you together that much more. Look for the connection. Look for the commonalities. You know, find that. So make sure you're doing it at the beginning of the demo before you even start. And then lastly, thirdly, on getting in rapport, you got to make sure that you're consistent and you're continuing to like get in that rapport throughout the demo. I am a huge fan of follow the manual, call your manager, and all the basics. I would never tell you to not do those things. That's definitely what you do. But just because you're following your manual does not mean you can't add a little personality into it. It doesn't mean you can't add a joke here or there. Ask some extra questions that maybe aren't in your manual that add to the flavor of your appointment. You know, I give it flavor because, you know, there's different flavors for all kinds of foods. There's different flavors of of your personality. So make sure that when you're getting in rapport, you're doing all of those things. Number one, you're getting in rapport on the initial phone call when you're booking the appointment. You're also getting into rapport at the beginning of the demo before you even start. And then you're also continuing to get into rapport throughout the entire demo. Okay, I think we're about roughly 10 minutes in. So that means the second half of this, I need to talk about the bread and butter. That's right. What's really, referrals, I'm going to use a Southern slang. I don't know who taught me this, if it was my mama or my grandma. I'm from Alabama. That's where the twang comes from. I joke about Bama raised, Texas to stay. Love living in Dallas. Really, really love Texas. Will never pull for any of those sports teams out there. Roll Tide till the day I die. Thanks, Stephen. I thought you were going to say Roll Tide. Roll Tide was in my bio. You were supposed to just read it. You know, you could have easily said Roll Tide. So we'll talk about that later. But I am from Alabama, and, you know, the Southern phrase that I think about, you know, referrals really melts my butter. Like, I get so fired up about referrals. And it has to do with that mindset I talked to you about at the beginning. It's not that these other things you're going to learn today are not very important. They are very important. They're equally important. But if you don't start with a foundation of having lots of people to call, you're missing the boat. You're not getting in the boat. Here's a statistic. I've polled lots of managers around the country for 11 years. And every time I have a private conversation with a manager that hires and teaches new reps with Cutco, 9 times out of 10, these managers always say the reason that their rep decided to go on and work somewhere else, or they decided to go back to school and not stay with Cutco, or they decided to just do something else instead of selling knives, it's not because they didn't like the product. And it's typically not because of something their family or friends said to them. It is because they ran out of people, names and numbers to call. 100%. Well, I say 100%, 9 out of 10, 90%. I can't add. The point is if you don't have a list of names and numbers, what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and wait for the phone to ring? It doesn't really work like that. So here's how you get referrals. 3 more things. I'm trying to mirror this message. First half was rapport. Second half is referrals. But I'm going to try to just kind of break this down in a real, like, simple, followable format for you guys to take notes so that you can easily apply this to immediately this next week and during SC2 go get more referrals. If you have a car, someone is on. I don't know who I hear, but I hear someone. So please mute yourself. Pretty please. EPB. EPB is an electronic parking brake. Okay. Every car has one. It's a lever. You pull that lever up and it stops your car from rolling down the hill. It holds your car in a space where it's stable and ready for you to come back to that car and crank it and drive. Well, what is the EPB of our business? What's the electronic parking brake? What makes a rep more stable? What keeps you there without flying off into the, you know, the foothills and leaving our business? What keeps you here with Cutco stably is more referrals. It's the EPB. But here's how you get more referrals. I want you, if you're writing notes, I want you to take on your notes, I want you to write E real big, like the letter E, and give yourself 2 or 3 lines for notes. Then I want you to skip down and I want you to write B as in boy and give yourself 2 or 3 lines for notes. Then I want you to write P and give yourself 2 or 3 lines for notes. So what does E stand for? Biggest mistake that most representatives make, even experienced reps, when trying to get more referrals, number 1 is they ask for referrals at the end. So E stands for expect referrals. Expect them. This is all about like mindset shift, right? If I'm gonna take an hour out of my time to do a demo for a customer, virtually or in person, then I have the expectancy that that appointment will be replaced with at least 1 more. That's how you stabilize your business. That's how you keep working. That's how you never run out of people to call. Now, my goal was never to just get 1 referral per appointment, because we all know that if we get 1 referral, sometimes we call that person, they never answer. Sometimes they never get back to us. Sometimes we're chasing them like marbles and that just doesn't work. So my goal was always to get as many referrals as possible, but to expect them. Now, again, in your manual that you were taught when you were brand new, managers teach you the script. Hey, Mrs. Jones, real quick, before we wrap up, there's one more important thing that I need to tell you. Essentially, I don't get paid just to show Cutco. So it's really important that I blah, 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 ask for referrals. Your script. I know they've changed it over the last few years. I'm not telling you to not follow the script. Definitely still ask for referrals at the end and definitely still follow the referral script. It wouldn't be a script if it didn't work. The spot that people miss and the mistake that they make in that is they don't bring referrals up until the very, very end of their appointment, after they sold nothing or after they sold something. So stop asking for referrals at the end. The biggest trick, if you hear nothing else if nothing else I say about referrals, this is the most important key, and it is expecting them. It has to do with your psychology. Walking into an appointment like a guy walks up to a girl with all that swagger and asks for a number. Well, depends which guy you are. I'll use my husband as an example. He got my phone number and I didn't even know what was happening. He literally handed me a phone. I can't talk. He still gets me tongue tied. It's pretty great. I told you I'm quirky, but I'm real. So I'll never forget it. I was at a Cutco conference and we had met the day prior and we had talked for a couple hours. He says I did most of the talking. I don't remember it that way. The point is he comes up to me day 2 after meeting me and literally says, hey, it was so good to talk to you yesterday about, this and that and that and that about the business. Hey, real quick, put your number in my phone. That way we can stay in touch about the business. And he just handed me my phone, or his phone. So I grabbed it and I said, sure, no problem. And I just immediately put my number in his phone. Had a boyfriend back in Memphis. What was I doing? Giving my now husband my phone number. But I just didn't think anything about it. He did it so confidently. He just handed it to me. He expected to get my phone number. Does this make sense? Show up with the psychology of not asking referrals at the end. Have the expectancy that you will get them. Have that swagger. Have that confidence. And one of the ways you do that is you get really, really good at step 2. Okay, step 2. P stands for plant seeds. Carlton's smiling right now, and I think Carlton's smiling right now because he was a groomsman at my wedding. He's like, oh yeah, I remember that. So plant seeds, plant seeds, plant seeds, plant seeds. That's what the P of your emergency parking brake in your business is. Plant seeds. You plant seeds about getting referrals on the phone. You plant seeds at the beginning of your demo before you even start. Oh, do we see a congruency here about getting in rapport and getting it? They work hand in hand. And then you're also going to plant seeds throughout your demo. You do it while you're building rapport. Getting in rapport. I got to stay congruent with my own thought here. The point is if you want to plant seeds on the phone, here's one little nugget for you. If you want to plant seeds on the phone, you just tell them when you're booking the appointment and firming up the time, you say, hey, Miss Jones, just so you know, I'm really busy. People stuck at home during this pandemic and they're cooking their brains out. So just so you know, though, my main goal is that I keep working. And the best way for me to do that is when I come over, or AKA when I come to our appointment that we have scheduled, it's really important that you be thinking of a family member or friend that you could pass me along to. Just be thinking of that. Just say something along those lines. Plant the seed of, I'm going to ask you to replace your appointment with at least one more because it's important to me to keep a full schedule. You don't have to ask for referrals on the phone when you're booking it. Just plant the seed. Plant that idea in their head so that they know when you're at the appointment, it's going to come up again. The reason that so many customers don't give referrals, it's probably not because they don't think you're cute or they don't want to help you out. It's because referrals is that thing that they almost feel like they didn't sign up for. They signed up to watch your demo. They signed up to talk to you virtually. They signed up to have you come over, the cute little college kid trying to win a scholarship and show some knives, but they didn't sign up to give you a list of names and numbers. But the reason they don't give them is because you surprised them. They were surprised. They weren't prepared. So prepare them. Prepare your customers by planting seeds on the phone and then at the beginning. So here's my favorite line to say at the beginning of every appointment I do, whether it is in person or virtually. I say what my goal is. I show them my book. I say, hey, here's my book. Before we get into the quickie part of the demo, and I'm going to go over the products and the company and like the history of Cutco and just kind of show you what we're doing, Miss Jones. Is it okay if I just quickly share my main goal with you? Is it okay if I share my main goal with you? What customer's going to say no to that? They're like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. What's your goal? What's your goal? And they expect, because you're there to do a sales presentation, they expect you to say your goal is to sell them something, or your goal is to win a scholarship. I'm here to tell all of you that that should not be your goal. Not in this job. Your goal is to build a network so big that regardless of what they buy, you're stable. So you say this line. This is the golden nugget. Write this down. Hey, Ms. Jones, my main goal today is not that you get a bunch of stuff you don't need. See, I'm from Alabama. That was a double negative. My main goal today is not that you get a bunch of stuff you don't need. My main goal today is that you just like me enough that you wouldn't mind introducing me to some of your family or friends. My main goal today is not that you get a bunch of stuff you don't need. My main goal today is that you simply like me enough that you wouldn't mind introducing me to some of your family or friends. Do you notice the inflection I used in my voice and how I slow down? I'm kind of quieter and I'm just looking them in the eye and I'm really sincere. It's authentic because that's the truth. I would rather coach a rep I used to do management years ago. I would rather coach a rep that consistently got 10 plus referrals per demo they did versus someone who went out and just sold a homemaker to mom and grandma and then decided, Cutco's not for me because I ran out of names and numbers. Do you guys see the importance? It is so important for you to get really good at referrals. So important. Just like it's important to get good at closing and to get good at selling sets. But if you run out of people to call, you're missing the boat. You're missing the boat. I would rather walk out of an appointment with handwritten 15 names and numbers than selling a large average order. Because the way I see it, if I close more orders, those people go into my system and in my database, they get my texts, they get my emails. And last week, I had a $22,000 week. A $22,000 week. And do you know why? I had more than 10 phone calls calling me to buy Cutco. And half of them were referrals. My customers like me, they know me, they trust me, they pay me, and they say, if you want Cutco, this is your girl. Let me refer you. And they send a text and they refer it. But it's because of the expectancy that I have for referrals and how I talk about it. And it's the fact that I plant seeds about it via email, via text, via in person, via demo. It doesn't matter where. I'm always talking about how my main goal is that they like me enough that they wouldn't mind introducing me to their family and friends. Okay, last point. And this one's really quick and this one's really easy, Brian, Stephen, all of you. If you want to take it an even further step, say you master the expectant referrals, say you master the planting seeds throughout your appointments and on the phone and all that. Well, what's the next step? What's one more little advanced step to get maybe not just 5 referrals on the appointment, to get 10, instead of 10, get 12, and instead of 12, get 60, whatever your goals are. The most referrals I've ever gotten on a single appointment was 64 handwritten names and phone numbers. Handwritten. She didn't just hand me a directory. She literally wrote the names and numbers. And she finished at 20. And I coached her on the appointment of how to get to 60 plus. So here's the last one. We've talked about E, expect them. We've talked about P, which is plant seeds. And now we're going to talk about B. B, bribe them. It's that simple. Bribe the mess out of your customers, but do it in a fun, caring, authentic, like funny way. You literally look at the list after they email you the list of names or they text you the list of names, however you're getting referrals virtually, however you want to do it. But you literally just say, oh, wow, Ms. Jones, you got 3 people for me. Really good job. Hey, just so you know, if you get to 5, I think this Cutco peeler, do you know what this is, Ms. Jones? Hold up a peeler. Show it to them. You say, you see this peeler, Ms. Jones? This is not just a peeler. This peeler, it peels forwards, backwards, left ways, sideways, up ways, right ways, whichever ways you want to. It doesn't discriminate which way it goes. What's really great, Ms. Jones, is you can lay this peeler down on the board, lay your carrot on the cutting board with it, walk out of the room, and when you come back, the carrot's peeled. Do you believe me? You shouldn't. It's just a really good peeler. But hey, just so you know, you're at 3 referrals. You're at 3 referrals. You know that if you get to 5, the company, blame the company. The company will allow me to give you this peeler for free on top of your order. Guys, bribe your customers for referrals. Bribe them. Give them free stuff. Cutting boards are like $20. You can bonus a cutting board for 10 points. Homemaker sets only come with a medium board. So give them the small cutting board. You lose 10 CPO, which is nothing, but you get 2 more leads that you could possibly sell homemakers to. Bribe them. Expect them, plant seeds, bribe the mess out of your customers, but do it in a very nice way. Other than that, I went a little long there. I think you can tell I get really fired up about referrals, but I have been teaching these concepts and this mindset for 11 years. And it's really important to me because I want to see everyone that's on this call. I want to see you at SC2. I want to see you selling while you're back at school in the fall. I want to see you selling over Christmas break, and I want to see you selling next summer. You know, say we're in person at SC2 or we're in person next SC1. I want to be there with you guys, high-fiving you and riding limos and, you know, drinking wine if you're of age. So other than that, I think I have one more thing to say, and that's roll tide. Yeah.
What if